correctly. And we're going to teach them to empower themselves because empowered people make empowered choices. And so I'm just really excited that, there's a lot of passion behind this. And then also, yes, empowerment, but what about the emotions, the heavier things at the bottom that no one else is talking about? That is where we come in. Sort of like around shame, around like a lot of stuff that's been coming up because we're all reading that pussy reclamation book.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's been interesting. So
It's really something that at all ages we're experiencing the same sexual things that you wouldn't think. Oh, I would think this young one would be doing this, and this one didn't have any problems with this. And oh, now that the age is, people talk about the age, you don't do this and that, but it's such a circle and it's such a connection that I never really realized that from what we learned in the past, how it shifted over to our future. And because we didn't address it, we didn't know how to take care of it and we didn't know how to get out of it. So it's helping us. We're going along with it too when we're learning different things, of shame in the past that I had. Well, let's start about the shame. I'll just go in what I have, and then I think Robin, we can pick up because it's all about the same. So, what I was doing, some research about it. We always like to have a little theme, something that we can help. So our theme today is the shame, and as we talked about before, like all the things can start right when you're a child. It could start even before you're born because I know that I said I did uh, was a Catholic, strict Catholic, and I then I chose and saw something else because this wasn't doing it. So I used to do Bible tapes, the Bible, and I used to talk to my kids in their belly and do Bible tapes. So I was trying to do the right thing at that time. So it starts that way. But unfortunately, my husband was very controlling and a hypocrite and just was negating. So the positive and the negative were fighting. So my kids, I didn't know at the time. So culture, your environment is also something that can bring shame to you as an individual. So there's your family, there's religious things. Oh, and in the Catholic religion, we weren't allowed to do this, and you weren't allowed to say this. And I was like, oh my goodness, but wait a minute. I talked to some priests when I was a little kid. I wanted to be a priest, but no, you were a woman. You could not be a. Well, wait a minute. I found out that they can drink, but nuns, that they want you to be a nun, you can't drink. Wait a minute. Double standards. Right, already I learned when I was a little kid. I think, wow. So that's another thing that can bring shame, double standards. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. As I grew older, hmm, I talked about all these teenagers I heard, man, I got this chick and I was doing that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, because I was brought up religious. And I'm thinking, oh, this is crazy. Why can't I do something like that? But I would never do that because first of all, I would never uh, pour around or anything like that. But all these guys were talking about this, and I'm thinking, well, there's a double standard there. They're all getting cheers, and if I say I do anything, it's not good. So I said, wait, I'm getting confused. But I went back to my parents and back to my own Catholic religion and what they have for that, and that's virgin. Don't do anything. Don't even go to first base. Don't do that. I'm like, you know, it can be confusing for someone who's growing up. So I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on there. So we have what? We have other forms of shame. And I'm kind of combining all these together because as I was thinking about this, I was gonna like separate it. But as I went through my life, I saw that each part of my life had a little different shame that came on me as I looked at it this way, and I never really looked at it this way. So this kind of like, wow, was a light bulb for me. So I said, oh man, this is so cool. Hmm. My mother and father always told me to be respectful and dress nice and everything like that. I went to school. First, I went to a Catholic school, I had a uniform. I didn't have to worry about that. But then my bus went to another school that was public. And I seen how these girls dressed, inappropriate. I seen how, in my mind, I thought, that I needed, why can't I dress like that? So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's going to bring shame to me if I show my knees or if I show this. I started to learn different things from society. They were talking about shows and things that I never heard of, and then things were doing that. So I became confused. What is right and what is wrong? But I didn't realize that some of the shame of things the way I was thinking was coming upon me. So then, I'm like, society, back in history, look how they shamed the women back in the day, a gender formed man. Man was everything. Man was the provider. Man was this. I said, oh, I never realized it went that far back. So we have the family, the culture, the religion, we have society, we even have history. How man, oh, Eve took the apple first, if you want to go all the way back with those kind of religious things, right? So it became a stigma on us. It we didn't know that we were having shame all the way back. So those were kind of things. What about then the men when you were older? They're always looking at your figure and they're always looking at your boobs and stuff. And a visual thing. We're not just visual, we're persons, people inside. We're not objects, like Barbie and all that, even though I played with Barbie. But, I kept wondering why Barbie has such big boobs when mine were little when I was playing with her, just normal things that you think about and don't realize that it's bringing shame. Sex is taboo. Dear God, we can't talk about sex. If you have parents that are super old, oh my goodness, they didn't even know what they were doing back in the day. So we can't talk about that. One thing that I realized that we never talked about, my dad talked a lot about sex to me. My mom didn't give me any sex things, but I didn't realize about me having sexual pleasure. I didn't think that was right because that's what I was told. It's not right. Only for your husband, only for the man. And I'm thinking, only for the man. What do I do? What am I, chopped liver? What am I, nothing? Oh no, you don't worry about yourself. You could just have children. I said, wait a minute, there's got to be something else in between. As everybody say, you're one business, so how can he have the fun and I don't? So I was starting to feel like no masturbation, none of that stuff. And if I did that, I thought I was going to die and go to hell, have a sin, because that's how I was raised. That's how I was cultured. Now, as I grew older, I always used to say I'd never put God, spirit, whatever. I'd never put that person that's in charge of my life or I'm awakening to in a box. So I never put that person in a box. So I always was looking for something that made me feel good and made me feel like a person. So that's when I started inquiring all these different things. So we have the religion, we have the culture, we have the sex is taboo, we have the double standards, we have the objects, and then we have the traumatics experience of sexual violence, abuse, sexual things that people you love had done to you that really freak your mind out. You know, shame, all shame. How do you get rid of this shame? How do you go about finding the joy of your own being, of your own self? So this is what the topic is making us aware of. We're trying to make aware of where we got that shame. How can we get rid of it? We don't want to go back and get all the messy shit, and we don't want to bring all some of the past up that's not needed, but we do want to address what caused the root and how we can get rid of it. So that's kind of like what my thing is about today about shame, how shame came on me unaware of things. I didn't know it, but now through women and getting together, and I found out that there's really no place. There also says that there's really no place where you can go and feel comfortable and talk about this in a group or in a setting. There's not that much information. I mean, there's violence, sexual abuse, and if you want to go there, well, maybe I never got really sexual abused, or maybe, I never did any of that. But I found out that women helping women, even men helping women, because sometimes we could see their point and what they're thinking and why they're thinking it, and also we can help them. So kind of that's what I wanted to share with you today and all the other ladies, how I feel about the shame and how it came upon me without knowing it. No, I'm